Today, I'm chatting with Jarena Willacey, a shamanic and energy healer and trauma counselor. Jarena opens up about how she got into healing, her quest for learning, and her insane story of how she healed herself after a bad car accident. We dive into everything from the mind, body, spirit connection to the impact of generational trauma and why self-empowerment is so important in the healing process. If you're new here, you're listening to the How We Get Through podcast, a place for you to feel connected through deep and meaningful conversations with healers from all over the world. I'm your host, Jen, a licensed therapist and founder and CEO of the How We Get Through app. And my mission is to bring you affordable and diverse therapy resources to help you get through the hard stuff all in one place and at your own pace. Welcome to the How We Get Through community. Welcome back to the How We Get Through podcast. We have Jarena Willacey on the show today.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Jarena, you are a shamanic healer, or shamanic guide, an energy healer, and a hypnotherapist. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, there are a couple more certifications in there for sure. I'm also a medical intuitive. Yeah, I'm a trauma counselor as well. I've done, I have certifications in Reiki also and energy medicine. I'm sure there are a few more that I'm forgetting, but those are pretty much the core things of what I encompass in my work at this time.
Wow. Have you always known you wanted to be a healer? Like, did that feel like something you connected to growing up?
You know, the first profession I wanted to be growing up or as a child really was a doctor. I had run with that for a few years, and then something happened and I got totally spooked out by the sight of blood. And then I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. And so I was also a very argumentative child, and my mother said, you need to be a lawyer. And so I actually did all my high school and college and all of that stuff, gearing up to be a lawyer. And then I got accepted into school. And at that time, things just didn't line up. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I ended up doing a whole host of other things. And somehow we just came full circle back into the healing arts. When I was younger, it wasn't, definite healer type of thing. Because, there are different types of doctors. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Wow. So after you decided not to do law school, were you like, did you go into trauma therapy first, or what was the first thing you dipped your toe in?
So I think the first thing I actually did was I had moved cross country. I was in California and I went to Tennessee, and I was a waitress for a while, honestly.
Yeah.
And then I was a collections supervisor. I think the next closest thing to this was I used to work with disability or adults who had disabilities. And that's kind of when it started to spark. I would, sit with them and take them different places, and that, caring role just, sort of came out. And I was like, you know what, I think I want to dive more into this. And so I worked with people who were quadriplegics, like completely can't move, need absolute care from, beginning to end. But, a lot of the times when they're at that stage, it can be very hard to change someone's mind into, your body can heal itself, especially if they don't have a circle around them either that believes that, so if they believe this is how I have to be for the rest of my life, it's very difficult to change that. So I eventually got to a place where I'm like, you know what? I know that things can change. And I want to help people who want to be helped also. Yeah. And I started getting into Reiki and, went on YouTube and saw some things and whatnot. And, once you get into that world and you start looking at videos, then a whole set of other things start coming up. And then that's when all of the other certifications started, just trying to see how I can really help people. And not just on the surface level either, because I had a lot of success with just Reiki. But then I noticed that what happens is they don't always...
They
don't always keep it, right? So things will come back, or something else will come back. Okay, this is gone, but now this comes back. And I'm like, okay, I think we need to go deeper here. And that's when I started to get into shamanism and into the medical intuitive, field, and then into the trauma counseling because I was like, okay, it's not just the body. The body is very complex. And yes, I can, intuitively figure out your problems with your kidney. But then we're like, okay, but why did you actually develop this issue? And then the trauma stuff came about, and it's like, okay, almost everything is linked to childhood or some sort of trauma at some point in somebody's life. So that's kind of how it got to that point.
Wow. Okay, how can you talk about like shamanic energy healing and medical intuitive? Like, how did you follow those paths? What did that look like?
So the medical intuitive field came first because I wanted a way to sense more accurately and quickly also into what part of the body things are really stemming from. Because, somebody can have a headache, but it might not be because something in their head, it might be because they're not sleeping well or, something that they're eating. And then, we can ask questions with, okay, how is this? How is that? But a lot of the times consciously, people aren't realizing what is causing what's happening, right? So in medical, with medical intuitive studies, you can sense in different ways. People do it different ways. Some people literally will like imagine that they are some sort of animal or, some sort of like a fish or something like that inside of the body and, just going in. What you do is you sense what parts may be dense or dark. And whenever you come across those areas where it's like, okay, it's kind of difficult to maneuver in here, or there's something happening in this area, you develop this sense where you can tell this part of the body right here, this is kind of where it's coming from, right? But with me, what I notice is even if I can hone in on that spot, even if it's like, okay, it's on the right side of the brain. All right, now we know that. What is causing that? And then that's kind of how I got into shamanism, because now we can talk about, let's go into Middle Earth, let's go into the dream world, let's, figure out how these things are connected and what is really happening, and start talking to your spirit guides or Jesus, whoever it is that you feel like you want to connect with. I'll ask my guides as well, and then we can try to connect the dots some more to figure out exactly what's going on, because I can guess all day, but I would much rather get to the source. And so shamanism really helped me figure out that path to understand where people are.
I really love that you have like the whole trinity of like mind, body, spirit, like really, and that's not a religious, I mean, I guess it is a religious symbol, but it is that, I do talk therapy, and I'm always thinking like, there needs to be body, and I'm including spirit, but not in the way that it is like holistic in the way that we need. And so it's really powerful that you saw those pieces and said, we need to connect these, or what are we doing?
Yeah, that's true. Because I was struggling for a while. I'm like, everybody's saying, Reiki is, so great, or just energy healing, with finding blockages in the body. And, you put your hands, or, you can even think, like I was able to help somebody clear asthma in Australia, and I was in Georgia at the time. It was amazing for a while, but then something came back, and, maybe months later, she was like, I'm still having this or that. And I'm like, all right, what is happening here? Because I'm not the type to just do the same thing over and over again. It's not, okay, let's jump and have another session. There's clearly something wrong here, because I know that there is so much power available to us in this universe, and we just need to know how to tap in and figure out which way is the best way to get there. And I'm such an avid learner, and I love to try to figure things out. And so if I'm at a roadblock, I'm like, let's figure this out. There's got to be another way.
I love that. And so when you feel into the dense energy, are you doing Reiki, or are you like in a meditative state connecting to the body? What does it look like for you in that?
So now I have developed a way where I pretty much will blend almost everything together, right? So we may start with like a hypnosis session where, you get you into a more calm state, lowering the brain waves. And then, we're on a shamanic journey, taking you into lower earth, or maybe we go into, a certain space that you may identify with well, or we may just use music as a way to get you there. I tend to use drums a lot, because I feel like it literally can connect with a primal part of you, and your cells just resonate on the level. And again, shamanism, taught me that as well. So we'll get you to that point where we're just, calming you down, and then we go into Middle Earth, and once you are, at a state where I know that you're not thinking anymore, really, then I can go in and sense into your body and be like, okay, it's like a chakra clearing, because I follow all the chakra points from your foot all the way down to, level 12.
Wow.
Which is above your head. And I will sense into all of those areas going up, up, and up until, I get to a point where I feel the density or sense that, this is something wrong. Or I may hear, like a voice, or, just see the words written in my head, stop here. And when I get
So
to that
cool.
point, I will, I'll write it down, because I don't, I get so much information when I'm in, the body, right? So I'm writing it down. I'll say, okay, this is an area. I will do a clearing in that area, just to, get some of it and see, okay, will that help? And I'm sure, there are different layers to things, right? So I can do, a clearing now, but then it may, something else may come up. So that's why a lot of times I'm like, okay, we can't just have one session, right? Because something else may be revealed. But I'll do a clearing, and so it'll either go away or it'll lighten up, because I will also ask, why is this here, right? So when we find out why it's here, or I get that hit, or I'll just ask the question, and then either I'll get the answer or the person may get the answer, because it doesn't always come to me, right?
Cool.
So we'll go through that process, and I just go through the entire body, all the way, from the root chakra and then up to the levels that are above your head. Write all of that down, that I'll take them out of that state, bring them back, and then we'll talk about every single thing that I found in all of the points. And then they'll be able to tell me, that makes sense, or I resonate with that, or I also saw this, or, something like that. And then we can figure out what the root cause really is of whatever it is that they are experiencing. And sometimes, honestly, all people really need to do is find out what it is. Just knowing how you got that can literally clear the pain almost instantly.
Wow. I believe that, because there is such a connection to all of it, or like, oh, my right foot hurts again, you know what I mean? And if we could stop and be like, oh, I'm not maybe using my voice right now or something, like I'm not setting my boundaries. And so it makes sense that like knowing is enough, because it brings clarity to maybe something chronic, or it brings clarity to something that the medical field couldn't heal, right? So you feel validated in that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, what you said about, hearing your voice or setting boundaries, it's also important, because so many people, especially in familial settings, right, they don't know how to set those boundaries. And you could be creating or really manifesting a disease in your body, or even your joints, right? Because of that. Once you find out, hey, this is why, this toxic relationship you have with your brother, sister, mother, whatever, is why you need to either set some boundaries or cut it off completely, or, whatever it is that you need to do. We get those steps also in the journey, or we can talk about it afterwards. And now that okay, this is the cause of it, then you're able to then make real world actions. Because sometimes people will go through these journeys and just be like, oh, there, I'm healed now. And I'm like, no, there's some work you may have to do,
Yeah.
And it might be we just discovered, like a pretty serious cancer, something like that. That density that is there, if it's in a certain spot, I'll be like, okay, listen, I cleared what I can, but you need to also go to the doctor, because you may have something going on. I'm not a medical doctor. I cannot perform surgery on you. Like if you really do have a mass or something like that, I want to work in tandem with, medical doctors if I can, because sometimes things are more serious that need to be taken care of.
Right, exactly. And I think, again, your point of view is really important, of like all of this, like this, there's so much to healing that it can't just be this one thing. Especially like it can't just be energy. It can't just be emotion. Like there has to be some intervention as well, or not. But I think in my own experience with healing, I went to the doctor and they're like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. And I'm like, okay, great. So then I went to energy and then emotional. And then I'm like, okay, I know exactly what this is now. And it was just, again, what I like about your work too is you're creating autonomy for your clients, in that you're saying, I'm going to work in tandem with you but you are your own healer.
Exactly. That is
And you have the
exactly
power
right.
to do that.
Yeah. No, that's perfect because so we grew up, honestly, for a long time, and almost everybody grows up thinking our problems are solved by somebody else. And that somebody else could be a parent, it could be God, it could be the government, it could be, the school system, somebody else. The doctors need to solve my problem. And we were not taught. How about we ask ourselves questions first? If you're a religious person, most of them believe the Holy Spirit was sent here to help us. But even religious people don't go to the Holy Spirit always. They still go to the doctor first.
Yeah.
Or, even if they do go to the Holy Spirit, they may say, okay, the Holy Spirit, told me I need to do X, Y, Z. But then they still may stay home and maybe not go to the doctor when they, just pray, God heal my cancer. And then they don't go, get some of the treatment that they need. And I'm like, no, listen, we have to all work together. Some things you can do at home, some things you can't. Some things you don't need to go there for. You can get the answer, if you actually were to talk to the Holy Spirit, your spirit guides, and something like that. So, everything is connected, and we just need to know who do we need to tap into. But let's ask ourselves first, because there's so much power in this body, and we were not taught that.
Yeah, I love that. Have you had your own experience in healing your body in this way?
Yes, okay. I have. So I started with energy healing back in, several years ago, maybe like 2019 or something like that. That's when I started with Reiki. And so I had already gotten a few certifications. I hadn't quite started shamanism yet, I don't think. But about last year in April, I believe, a little before that, I had taken a break from practicing with people. I wasn't, taking any clients. For some reason, I got in my head I needed to get more certifications and more knowledge and more this and more that, right? And so I was, just learning things here and there, even though I heard a voice say, stop, you are fine. You have it all within you, and you need to just continue helping people in the way that you are now, not just separate yourself, right? I ignored that voice. And I was driving in my vehicle at that time, and someone fell asleep behind me. And we were in like rush hour traffic. So the car in front of me stopped. I stopped. He didn't stop. Slammed into me at like 40, 50 miles an hour. And I hit the vehicle in front of me. So I was completely sandwiched. Luckily, I had no broken bones. But when I tell you, almost every single part of my body was affected. I had both of my the meniscus in my knees were torn. My ankles were sprained. My back, some discs were displaced. My wrists were sprained. I had horrible whiplash. I had a mild concussion. I had vertigo. My whole shoulder here, because of the seat belt, was also, pretty banged up or sprained. Just everything. My eyesight was also very blurry as well. The neurologist would not let me drive for several months because it was like pretty bad.
Wow.
And so the doctors told me I need surgery on my knees to repair them. And I was just like, you know what? My initial reaction was no. I don't know why, but it was just like, no, you should not do this. So I went to physical therapy. I got PRP in my knees. Everything was temporary. And I was like, you know what? I don't know why this is taking so long to heal. And in my head, I'm super impatient, right? So it was only like maybe a month in.
What's your astrology signs?
I'm a Sagittarius.
I knew it. So am I. That's why I'm like, yes, get it
I know.
done.
Like this, yes.
Okay.
Like, this is taking too long.
Funny.
And I was just like, you know what? No, we need to, not listen to all of these doctors. I'm not getting the surgery for sure, right? But I'm like, I know my body can heal itself. So started doing Reiki on my body. I went to someone else and they did some Reiki. I did, there's like a harmonic egg that has vibrations that come, through your body. I also bought I was looking for natural ways to heal myself, and I came across what they call the Iteracare wand. And it's almost like looks like a blow dryer. And it blows a certain amount of heat with terahertz frequency, crystal quartz, and quantum technology. and I blew my entire body. The first time I used that, it completely healed my shoulder. And that's because even before this accident, I could not take my hand and go all the way around like this. I have to like go up like this, change the location of my hand, and then go back. After I did that, no more problems with my shoulder.
Wow.
My knees never needed surgery. My knees are completely fine now. The concussion was gone pretty quickly. I mean, everything is fine.
How
And
often did you do that?
I did it twice a day for about a month.
Okay.
For about 20 minutes, each time. I was very vigilant with it.
Yeah.
And then I slowed down to maybe like once a day or so. I still did physical therapy, in between. I made sure I ate right also. But the thing is, because I had already drastically changed my diet, I cut out most sugar, gluten, I stopped eating meat, the whole 9 yards, everything bad. Like I don't eat any Cheetos, cake, anything like that. Junk food gone, ultra processed food gone. So I think that too also helped my body to heal a lot faster. So in 4 months, that's all it took. 4 months, everything was healed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where do you get that hair dryer?
It's
wand.
online. It is online. If you look up iTerracare wand,
Okay.
there are a few retail sellers that are out there. I used to sell it, but then something was like, I don't know, something was just like, you know what, you can use it. I do use it on clients, but for selling it, it wasn't so much in alignment, but you can definitely find it if you just look that up. It's amazing. And I tell people about it all the time because again, it's all natural. It literally it calms you down so much too, because that heat just does something. And it's like after a while, you just kind of want to go to sleep. If you do it in the morning, you can't. But, in the nighttime, I love to do it right before bed. And I mean, like, it's like I can almost instantly feel it working.
Wow. Do you have any residual pain that pops up from time and time from that?
So the only thing is every so often, my left knee that was torn the most might have like a little twinge here and there. And I will... I notice that it usually happens if I'm not exercising often, though. Like I still need to make sure that I am active and still practicing and doing everything I need to do. But if I feel anything, I just start working out, and I use my wand, and just give myself a little touch up and then that's it. It's not excruciating like it was before. I'm not hobbling around or anything like that. It's just a little twinge here and there, but it's fun.
So in your case with the car accident, did there feel any emotional connections to the physical pain as well? Or that was like strictly from the car accident that was related? Like, did you uncover anything?
Oh, yeah, I know what it
was.
And I actually went on a retreat and a shaman also helped to reveal this. But I had already found out the answer because as soon as the accident happened, I pulled off to the side of the road and I was like, why did this just happen? Because I didn't even know who hit me or that he fell asleep yet or anything like that because the guys in front of me went to him first. But I wasn't mad. I wasn't screaming or anything like that. I didn't even get out of my car for the longest time because I knew, somebody had called the cops. But I was like, why did this just happen? And I instantly heard, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then I know it was this, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And because I don't believe in coincidences. So it's not, I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And then I went on a retreat and a shaman told me, he was just like, that was your past. Who fell asleep. You were not paying attention to the reins, to where you were supposed to be going. And you hit yourself into your future, which is where you need to go. And guess what? The car in front of me had no marks on it. It was perfectly fine. Only my car and the car behind me had injuries. So if that wasn't a sign, I was just like, okay. So anytime I start feeling lazy, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. I'm like, you remember that accident? Not saying that you're going to get in another accident, but yeah, I feel like I cannot be lazy or just like not do anything. I can maybe take a little break here and there, but I know that I have to stay the course because that's what I'm supposed to do.
I don't know if I'm going to cry. I mean, I have chills all over my body and tears in both of them. And I'm just like, it's just so wild. It's just so
Yeah.
wild. And again, like, I think part of you being on your path is also resting, like to just take a break. But it
Yes,
is that
sometimes.
like, but it is that like you know, how do we stay connected to the right things that we're supposed to be doing? And instead of like ignoring them or like, I'm going to do
Yeah.
this, you know,
hmm
I'm going to do this
No,
over here.
the listening part is so important. It's one of the reasons why I'm in Belize right now, because honestly, for about
Tell me.
3 weeks or so, I've been hearing, go home, go to Belize, go to Belize. And I was just like, no, I don't think so, because I have a trip planned in October, and then I'm going to Egypt in November. I'm like, I
Wow.
think that, I should probably just stay. And it just kept on repeating, go to Belize, go to Belize. Then it starts popping up in my dreams. I'm like, no, buying the ticket, let me just go. I am going because I hear that I need to go, and I'm not sure if it's to take a rest. It might be. Something spectacular may happen here. It was a full moon here. So it's like, maybe I just needed to be in this location for the full moon. I'm not sure as yet, but I'm just going to go with it and enjoy the time while I'm here.
Yeah. So you grew up in Belize.
Yeah, I did. I was back and forth between here and California, and then
Okay.
back to Belize, and then I went back to California. But yeah, I was born here.
Okay. Where in California were you?
I was in Riverside.
Oh, that's like 45 minutes from me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What part are you
Wow.
in?
Orange County.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I've been there.
Wow. Okay, so your family's in Belize. How do you feel like right now being back there?
Oh, I love it. I
Yeah.
do. It's hot now.
Oh.
It's like extremely hot, and I'm sweating all the time. Thankfully, this room has air conditioning because everywhere does not have it. But no, I love it. I mean, I turn into a different person when I'm here. I'm out climbing trees. I'm in the rivers. I'm like, just
Connected.
being. Yes, I'm totally out in nature, just doing, things that I used to do years ago, or, just new experiences also. I love being here, and I love visiting. So
Yeah.
it's just a way to come back to your roots and to recharge. So I think it was needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're not in Belize, where do you live?
In Atlanta.
Okay, got it. Okay, so where did you do your shamanic training journey? How does one do that? Where do you go for that?
Training and journey, two different things.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have journeyed 3 times with one shaman who I trust, and he's actually based in California, in Malibu. I have done the first journey was actually in Sedona. That was the retreat. It was a little mini journey, but a full journey, 2 of them in California, up in Topanga Hills. So it's like 6 hour session.
Like
And
ayahuasca?
no, it's not ayahuasca, it's mushrooms. Yeah.
Mushrooms.
So
Okay.
yes, yeah, that he grows himself. And so it's in a, very sacred space. And we are doing what we need to do. We talk some, and then, the mushrooms just take over. And it is like the most blissful experience I have ever felt. I know some people have not that great of an experience. They're like crying and thrashing and whatnot. And I'm like, no, man, it is amazing. I feel like at that time, I am connected to the entire universe, and everything is love. And I see my path. I get, reinforcement on what I'm supposed to be doing, what I should do next, what I should call this, who I need to partner with, who I don't need to partner with. Like, I get instructions when I am in these journeys. And it's just it's an amazing, amazing feeling. Like, I've never felt more joy when I am in those sessions with this specific shaman.
Wow.
As for my training, honestly, that is part of training as well. Just being able to be connected, and speaking with the shaman as well during and before and after. Also, he and I have long talks. My certificate came from. It was an online course I actually did, though, but she and I also, spoke as we went through it. And I mean, it's a lot that you have to go through and do in
bet.
order to finally, get that certification. Because it's not like a course you can just do on your own and then say, oh, I got it. No, you actually have to speak with her, and you have to fill out, the homework and et cetera for herbs and, how to connect things and whatnot. So I did that a few years ago with her as well. She studied with someone who actually is from Belize, coincidentally. I have
Oh
met a
my
couple of
gosh.
people who have trained under somebody from here. I can't even find them here.
That's so funny.
But I find people who have found those. It's like, okay, so I know I'm getting the real deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how that started. And then I just follow other people. I've read books also that, just brings everything all into unity for me.
How did you start getting connected to your intuition or to your guides or to the spiritual world?
Meditation.
Yeah,
Meditations.
There's no way around that. Yeah.
No, there really isn't. There really isn't. Because you have to quiet your mind in order to listen and hear. They're always there. They're always trying to talk to you, or your, subconscious. It always has all the answers, all the secrets, that you, need. And you just have to quiet your mind. It was really hard, in the beginning for me as well. But I started because I stumbled across Kriya Yoga with Yogananda, and I had read his whole book, The Autobiography of a Yogi, and I started the full Kriya Yoga course. Now, I will admit, I didn't finish the whole thing because I felt like he wanted meditation to take over my entire life and to be meditating all day. And I was just like, okay, this is just a tidbit extreme.
Too much.
However, it's for some people and it works, and that's perfectly fine. But at that time when I was really going through that course, I was meditating like hours a day, just, broken up. And in that time, I had a lot of, revelations and things pop up and answers to questions and stuff like that as well. So I do still meditate every day now. It's just not, an hour at a time. But that's how it built up in the beginning.
What was the biggest thing, like the biggest takeaway, if you look back at that time, that you realized about yourself?
The Kriya Yoga time?
Yeah, when you were meditating and connecting to your higher self.
I think for me, it was just reinforcement that I'm doing the right thing, and that this is what I should be doing, because I have Jamaican blood in me. And what that means for anybody who doesn't know, we have a million ideas and we always want to start all sorts of things and we don't always finish them, right? So you kind of want to jump all over the place. But when I was, doing the meditation, it was just like, no, you are not to do this or that or that or that. Like, you need to stay the course. Like, you might find different ways to get there, and that's fine. But this is your end goal. And, we're going to equip you with everything that you need in order to get there. But you just need to stay the course.
Is your family spiritual like that? Are they more religious? How are they? What does that look like? How are they accepting of you in this?
So definitely more religious. I grew up a very strict Baptist. So when I started to, come into this path, it was definitely a surprise. And my mother especially was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is, I've always been open to different things, right? And just reading. And the more you read, especially if you go through, something like Kriya Yoga or A Course in Miracles, you find out that everything is connected. Like, there's so many different religions out there, but you guys are all trying to get to the same thing.
Yeah.
And, especially with shamanism, we believe in spirit guides. And I had to tell my mom, again, what do you think the Holy Spirit is? Like,
so that's so good.
It is
so
a
good.
spirit, and I had to remind her about, different stories. I think it might be Elijah. I can't remember. He had a little boy. They were in a room and the spirit kept waking the little boy up. And he was just like, hey, what's happening here? And it might not be Elijah. I forget what his name is, but he was like, go back to sleep. That's the Lord talking to you and you will get the message. So, my mom would sometimes like wake up with these dreams or whatever. She's like, I don't know what's happening. I'm like, go back to sleep and ask what's happening, because this is in the Bible. They are trying to give you messages. And so there's so many different ways that I have linked things that are happening in the Bible to what I'm doing now. Or just what the true way is, or the other way. How about just another way to look at it?
Yeah.
That's all that I want you to do. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. Just let's look at this scripture a little differently and see if you can understand another way to look at exactly what you are reading, because all the answers are right there in the Bible that you're reading. So And thankfully, she was actually just telling me maybe yesterday, she was like, if you didn't come along and open my eyes to how to look at some of these scriptures, I would have never looked at them like this. And if I didn't read the Bible more and understand and see all of these spirits and other things that are happening, I would have probably been less accepting of what you're doing now because I didn't understand it in the beginning. So that's kind of how it tied together. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sweet dad was like, I mean, I don't think he'll listen to this, but I learned tarot and I did a podcast on tarot, and he was like, he saw it because he like liked it, you know, like on Instagram, and he's like, I just want to let you know I'm praying for you. You know, I hope you find Christ. And I said, thank you, Dad, for your prayers. I really appreciate that. And I do feel connected to him.
Yes.
Like it won't be in the way that you think it is, but I feel more connected to spirit, to what happens after this more than ever. And you can't box it in. Like it's like an impossible, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can relate to that part.
Yeah.
So it's a little too much.
Most people can. It's just the way it is. It's a generational thing. And again, it's how we grew up. So I don't try to persuade anybody at this point. I'm like, either take it or you leave it. I can help you or not, you know, I'm not going to force you. It is what it is.
Yeah. So what are some problems that people have, like when they come to you? Like, what can you help clear?
So I'll get people who either come to me with physical ailments and they don't know why, or there might be emotional things they're going through, and, you know, they're just stuck with making a decision about, you know, XYZ, or they may be going through a lot of tumultuous relationships and they, you know, are just blaming XYZ and just don't understand why. So obviously those are two different conversations. However, they'll usually lead right back to kind of what are you in alignment with? Are you out of alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, or are you in alignment and are you listening to the messages that you're receiving? So sometimes it's a simple conversation that I could just be like, okay, tell me what your day looks like. You know, if you have a constant headache, constant migraines, tell me what you're doing throughout your day. And, you know, they may say, you know, I wake up at this time, then I eat, or then I don't eat for X amount of time. I'm drinking this, not drinking that, or, you know, I'll talk on the phone for this amount of time and talk to this person every single day, or I'll always, you know, go to the store at this time. And I'm like, okay, when do the headaches start? And then, you know, we'll just start to narrow down things, and then we'll basically be able to link it to, you know, whether it's something they ate or a person or the time or sleep or, you know, something like that. And if we cannot do that, or it still feels a little confusing, then I'm like, all right, let's go journey. And then, you know, we just, you know, get into that. Because sometimes it's just diagnosis, and they will say something that will literally, I don't really hear things so much. I literally see sentences in my head.
Wow.
I will see the whole answer to the issue with just the conversation that they have based on what they're saying. And then I can say, I think this might be, you know, the issue that you're going through, you know, try this, let me know how it works. And then, you know, I do herbs as well. So maybe there is a herb that can help, because I'm like, okay, sometimes the pain is so great, they cannot even have that conversation. Or what's coming out of their mouth isn't making sense. I'm like, well, let's get rid of the pain first. So they may need to, you know, get on something or get on some herbs or drink something, or I may just suggest, you know, hey, take, you know, ashwagandha or, you know, something like that in order to help to alleviate some of the symptoms. And then we come back and we do a journey like that. If it is more emotional, then again, we can start with a conversation, but I don't like to when it comes to them talking about their emotions, because they're at a point where honestly it's almost always wrong, you know, whatever they're thinking about. So let's go in, you know, and get deep here with a journey. If they have not a hypnosis session, and then we'll be able to get more answers that way, or they may get the answers, because it always does not come through me. You know, I might see nothing at all. I might just be there to hold space for them. And then, you know, their spirit guides may visit them and say, okay, this is what's bothering you. And in that case, I'm just happy to hold space, you know, to give them that that time that they need to calm their brain down. Because most of the time, there's just so much anxiety and things happening in their brain. They do not take the time. And I'm like, this is your time. Let's calm down. We'll figure out what's happening.
Have you seen anything connected to past lives or generational things that people are holding?
Absolutely. Definitely.
Do you have any stories about that?
Generational trauma is a very it's a prevalent issue in both men and women, right? But for women, it shows up a lot of the times in their relationships, right? Who they pick, what type of man is it or woman, is it that they're choosing to spend their life with, and how are you parenting if you have a child, right? These types of things are very telling. And, if you start to tell me about your relationship, I may ask you, okay, what was your mother like? What were your sisters like? What were their mothers like? And then when we start asking those questions, then a lot of the times you will hear they did the same thing. They married the same type of man. They were cheated on as well. They were beat as well. They were, suffering in these types of ways. And even if you maybe don't choose a partner that is beating you, maybe what happens with you is you are still shut down. Maybe you're still not connecting with that partner. You're still not, or you're just not able to carry through a lasting relationship. You're just going from one person to the next person because you don't trust people because you think he's going to cheat on you, or you think he is going to hit you, or, something like that. So you cut it off very quickly. So sometimes you may think that, okay, it can't be generational trauma because I don't have a man who's hitting me. Okay, it's still that, because even as a child, you actually put up a lot of defense mechanisms without even knowing it, because you were in the biofield of your mother, right? Your aura, right? Their aura holds emotions. And if her emotions were full of pain, were full of conflicts, were full of, betrayal, and all of those negative things, just scared all the time because of the person that she had in her life, it seeps right into your little baby body. And, then your brain cells and the way how your brain is developed, it literally has all of these defense mechanisms. And even the thought that I have to be afraid of men. I'm scared if, XYZ happens. If I see this trait, I need to run and, not connect, and I can't show my feelings. And, all of those things is literally ingrained in you at a young child if you grew up with that. And so it carries right into how you hold your relationships or not at this time. So knowing what happened, and then being able to be like, okay, let's go through a session now, and maybe you do some EMDR, maybe you just go have some CBTs, or whatever it is that you need to do to kind of clear that, and be affirmations to reinforce that you are safe and you are loved, and everything else. Then you can recognize the signs also of, this is what I do whenever I'm scared. And so when that happens again, you can know, okay, let me not do that. This man isn't the one who beat me or beat my mother or anything like that. He's actually coming with good intention. So let me not scare him away or push him away. And then you can make better decisions going forward.
So it's the subconscious part, the subconscious fear that is running rampant.
It's deeper than that, because your brain literally changes how it's developed when you are in these tumultuous situations as a child. And it doesn't even always have to be a violent situation.
Right.
It could just be maybe your parents are really tight with money. Now you've developed a brain where it is very, very, either one or the opposite, honestly. Either you get money, you spend it immediately, or you hoard money, and you just barely even want to spend any at all. One or the other can happen just because of how your thinking was formed, and it can also shape the way of your brain and your DNA. These types of things can happen. If it was traumatic, your hippocampus and your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex, mess up this word, the cortex, the prefrontal cortex in your brain can literally shrink. They literally change shape when you go through these traumatic experiences. So if you don't even know that happened, how can you heal it? But there are ways to get over that and to heal it, and to become whole again, and to grow the parts of your brain and things that you can eat and exercises and stuff like that. But you need to know that it even happened first.
Right. So bringing that to the awareness. What have you seen healed physically in your work?
Oh, okay. So, joint pain, arthritis, in different parts of the body. Fractures and bones actually have become to a state where it might still be fractured, but the pain is gone around that area.
Wow.
Thyroid issues, heart palpitations, the nodules have either shrunk or gone away if they had thyroid issues. What else? Asthma, chest pain also.
What about like autoimmune? Is that similar to like, oh,
So
like,
yes, autoimmune is well, a thyroid issue can be, an autoimmune issue as well, but
yeah.
autoimmune is usually, in my experience anyway, like a traumatic thing. Something happened where your body decided to start, your immune system has shut down, and usually your immune system shut down probably because of that trauma that you went through, because you're in fight or flight mode all of the time. So sometimes
Interesting.
those issues can be reversed if we get you out of fight or flight mode, because your body cannot fight the diseases, virus, bacteria, all of that things. And you keep on getting sick because your immune system is like, I can't do anything, because all of your energy is being pumped into fight or flight mode. We need to get out of here. There's way too much adrenaline and cortisol in your body. So we need to lower those levels, get you into a parasympathetic state so that you can actually start building your immune system again and be able to heal things. So, but again, a lot of that is triggered by a traumatic issue that happened at some point.
Right, exactly. Which I just think autoimmune's like one of those mysterious diseases that's like, nobody knows. I don't have one, but so I can't like really speak to it. But I'm just saying, like, it's like comes out of nowhere and you're like, well, I can't do these things now, or I can't eat gluten. And but probably diet is a part of it, but it just feels like that mystery one that kind of surprises you. And it's like, was it a mystery? Like, or is it a mystery? How do we unpack this mystery?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's a mystery to the medical field, mostly because I think the answer isn't in, strictly the body, The answer to heal it is in one of the other, emotional, spiritual, alignment kind of thing, that world that's not just your immune system's not working,
Yeah, right, exactly. And so how many sessions do you typically work with someone? I'm sure it depends.
So I have, it will vary, right? Some people, want to do one-offs, and, I try not to offer them because I feel like, again, there are layers like an onion, and sometimes some things take a little while. So I have a 3-month program that I have for people that I offer. And we meet about once a week, and then we have sessions. There's homework for you to do, things that you need to keep up with, certain logs that you need to do, because maybe even if you might not have like some sort of food allergy, I believe that the food you eat is medicine. And so we need to always clean up, the food that you're eating, because it also allows you to connect more. The sugar in your brain literally stops you from being able to process things. So if we fix your diet, then it's better. So there are, logs that will keep with that as well. And I work with people when they're like, oh, I don't want to cut that out. Okay, well, let's see what else we can do here. But yeah, we'll meet for several weeks, and we'll have a session where, we're just talking. It could be full journeys, could just be feedback, because sometimes people just need to, talk about what it is that they're going through to get to that answer. And then always at the end, there will be a few sessions of me just teaching them how to listen better to their body, how to connect better with themselves, how to feel their intuition, and, stuff like that. Because I don't want to be the person where you feel you have to come back to me every day, every week for the rest of your life. No, I'm not that. That is the healthcare system, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to empower people in order to understand what they're going through. So the end of that 3-month session always has that in there.
I love that. And you also do retreats?
Yes, I do. I do retreats. I love them. Because you get to connect with people from all over in person. It's, it's
in person. Remember that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I actually have one in October. That one is geared more towards either women who are in the corporate world, or maybe just mothers or empty nesters, who are at a point where they're like, I need to make a change. I don't know what to do. I'm a little confused or so, but I know that I'm not in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing. So we have just a weekend retreat there for that, where we'll be giving them not just spiritual guidance. There'll be sound baths and, divinations and stuff like that, but real tangible things also that they can do. So again, connecting everything into the real world to take them, to a place where they can go forward to the next step. Then I have a retreat in November that is specifically for women who have experienced some sort of traumatic experience or traumatic childhood or just negative things, divorce, things like that, where they know they're holding on to some sort of emotional baggage or, just pain. And it could also be causing physical issues. And so that's a 4-day retreat that we're doing in November in Georgia for those women.
Awesome. So the November retreat is in Georgia. Is the October retreat in Georgia too?
It's also in Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah, it's in Georgia too. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so where can people contact you, learn more about you? Where should they go?
Yeah, so my website is infinitewavesofhealing.com, and my Instagram is at Jarena Willacey. YouTube, same thing. And my TikTok is Jarena.Willacey.
Awesome. And we'll put all that in the show notes.
Thank
Jarena,
you.
thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love talking about these things and just trying to help give another perspective to people out there.
Yeah, you're a badass. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to our show. If you are loving what you're hearing, please give us a review up on Apple Podcasts, as that helps shows like us reach more people. We'll see you next time.